if you work any kind of food related job or your parent companies, you need to be really, really watching this video because a big storm is brewing and we're going to look at some of these numbers, some of these stats, what is going on. So Tom sent me an email. Thanks, Tom. And he sent me this one from Outback Steakhouse. So Outback Steakhouse has been in quite some trouble for some time because I remember going there back as a little guy, and I actually used to love it. But all of a sudden, the quality went down. It's just all fried food, and it's just not that great anymore. And I haven't been back in years. So now let's look at what they're saying. So here we go. Iconic chain lays off hundreds of employees due to terrible business headwinds. Here we go. So it's funny when these big conglomerates say that, oh, we had terrible headwinds, they always say, oh, it's the consumer, it's all this. Maybe it's that you just provide shitty food. Have you ever thought about that? So here we go. Outback Steakhouse is closing down stores and laying off staff in effort to focus on growth and efficiency. The chain announced its layoff of 100 employees as its Tampa, Florida headquarters, known as the Restaurant Support Center, Blooming Brands Inc., which also operates Carrabba Grills, Bonefish, Fleming Steakhouse, and Wine, is hopeful to move and will give the company a chance to regroup and forge ahead. So I actually looked at it and it's like, okay, here we go. So they've let the Blooming Brands company that owns Outback cut their staff by 17% in February of 2025. So why the cuts? It realigns with business after selling 67% of its Brazil business in December of 2024 to focus on growth and efficiency and all this yada, yada, yada. So if you're in food and you're like, oh my gosh, I love it, I'm making art, because you can just have food when you have Flippy the robot prepared, that I would consider just food. But when it's art, when it's paired with experience, mastery, it's art, right? And let me know what you guys think about if food is art or not, because I read a little bit about it. Some say, no, it's a necessity. Some say, oh, it is art. And I feel like if you get the chef, the right ingredients, it's just the most beautiful thing. It's food, art, everything combined. And it makes for a great experience, right? That's why we tip these servers. We get an amazing experience. Everything just perks out great, right? But I feel like we've come a long way from where stuff was great. From me just thinking about back when I was a little whippersnapper in my teens, where I was like, oh my gosh, I want to go to Applebee's. I want to go to Outback Steakhouse. I want to go to all these other places. And I remember my mom was like, nah, it's kind of more expensive and we can't do that. So pick another spot. So then we went to like CC's or something else, pizza. I was like, okay, we can do that. But now I'm looking back, now I have the money and I want to go there. And I think still a lot of people still really, really go. But when I look at the menu, it's mostly fried stuff. It's like onion rings, it's like mozzarella sticks, it's like chicken wings, and it's all just heavenly fried. And you walk into these establishments and you just get like coated in like grease. And it's like, oh my gosh, it's just not what I try to do anymore in my early 30s. It's just not what I want to put in my body with all these fried stuff. Once in a while, sure. But now I'm just like, now I'm looking for something more culinary, right? Something that's more interesting for my taste buds. All kinds of other stuff that I can do with rather than going to Applebee's and Steakhouse. But when I used to go as a little kid, I loved it. I remember it was like one of the greatest nights out, and it was fantastic. They had these things where you draw on. I don't know if they still have those. The crayons, they had all these good stuff. Baby back ribs were amazing. The whole atmosphere at Applebee's, Outback was amazing. And I feel like they lost touch. And if I would be head of a chain like that, this is what I would probably do. I would make sure that all these people, all these cooks can start getting equity, right? And I know they have stock employee plans and all that kind of other stuff. But when you look at some of these blooming onions and how they portray that, it's subpar. It's just not, it doesn't look good. When you touch it, the last time I had one, my whole hand was covered in grease by taking one piece. So I'm like, no, I'm fine. So you just eat basically oil from the fryer with a little bit of onion and batter. It's like, nah, thanks. So what do is you got to get the quality control up. You got to get the people to actually care about it. Because I do feel like if you're a small mom and pop shop and you're a restaurant and you have good food control, you have good quality food, and your chef really, really cares, you can outrun like an Outback Steakhouse by a million miles. You can get so much business. You just got to get the right ingredients. You got to get a good quality product. You got to get some influencer to hype it up a little bit. You gotta do some ads. You gotta get awareness out, and then all of a sudden there's lines out the door because people are still waiting outside. Close to my house, there's a new burger joint, and they're waiting for 30-40 minutes to just come and eat a hamburger. And it's an expensive one. It's like $14-15 to eat a hamburger. So I'm like, holy smokes, people are still wanting to pay for good quality patties, good quality buns, and it's a simple concept but done very well. And so I still think that you can have a good food business in 2025, but you can't just have mediocre things anymore. It's like these days where you're like happy with somewhat of customer service, somewhat of this, and we'll do a little bit of subpar stuff. Those days are over, because then people don't come back. And look at the sales been dropping 9%. I read before I made this walk that it said that sales are down, or revenue's been down 9%, because people just don't want to do it. It's overpriced for what they offer, and it is not really art. It's not really an experience. It's just basically fried stuff. And I don't know, but I wouldn't drive for just fried food again, right? So if you got to get in your car, drive for 15-20 minutes just to do that, it's like, nah, I'm good. I just make something at the house or something else. But if it's like a good thing and it's like it's a sit down, it's maybe a local, locally owned Italian place where the chef or the owner comes and greets you and all that kind of other stuff. And he's like, yeah, I'm from Italy and the pizza's great and pasta's good too, house made, handmade, all that kind of stuff. I can see, and I do that. But it's like going to Applebee's and getting the 2 for $20 or something. It's like no, because probably Cisco and all these huge conglomerates just deliver it, and all they do is just basically fry it. It's frozen, they thaw it and just throw it on the grill and you're done. And I'm like, no, you can now get real quality, like Costco meals that are probably better than that, and they're less greasy, right? So if you're in the food business, you really got to start looking at like, hey, what do my customers want? Know your customer, right? And this is what I say in all my videos. You gotta care. Because if you're gonna have employees that don't care, then your whole business is kind of doomed, right? Because customer service goes out the door, quality drops, and you're basically gonna be out of business in a few years. So you gotta hire people that love your product, that are advocates for your product. And I feel like nowadays people are just like, yeah, if my business goes out of business, or or this corporation goes out of business, not my money, right? So the thing is then, truck drivers get less money. Other thing gets less money, right? And all of a sudden a domino effect starts, and then there's a whole bunch of other businesses that are gonna be let go, and then it's gonna be real trouble. So if you are one of these people that are like, I don't really care, you should really consider, because now there's a lot of people out there that would love your job and would actually like do a pretty decent job at it. And so I got a comment from one of my subscribers, and he's also a channel member. And so if you haven't, please like and subscribe. And yes, I can make more of these videos every day. So he basically said that, or she, I don't know, but they basically said that you gotta, once there's a downturn and they're like, I've been sitting on the sidelines, but I have no debt, I have nothing, like I don't have any debt, I'm pretty well off, I'm just waiting to pounce all in, and I'm gonna gobble up some opportunities. And this is what Warren Buffett's doing. And he's been sitting on the sideline for quite some time with like, not boatloads of cash, but like freaking aircraft carriers full of cash, just waiting on the sideline, waiting for this correction to come, waiting to grab opportunities for these giants to stumble and fall, for him to come in, fix it, buy them at a discount, fix them up, and then sell them when they're high, right? So this is how it kind of goes in business, right? You see till they stumble, you come in, you invest a few $100 million, you revamp them, and you bring them back up to to its glory days. They make more money, they do all kinds of stuff, and all of a sudden you're back in business and you just tripled or quadrupled your investment if it works out. But I don't think Warren Buffett has that many losses. When he does something, he does it right. So we will see what he does. So you're right there with him, and you're with me too, because that's what I've been doing. I've just been kind of sitting on cash, investing in my own business, and kind of sitting on the sideline because I haven't bought real estate, I haven't done anything else. So I'm just sitting here waiting for whatever's going to happen, and ride it out. And for all these people that didn't have emergency funds and that have been getting a newer car, oh, I got a promotion, let me get a newer car. And then, oh, this is a nice little boat, let me finance that. Let me go finance this and do all that. This is all great, but when you saw in my last video with Alex Hermosi that I had a little snippet in it with him and what was it? It was Dave Ramsey. He said, risk that over a certain amount of time is risk that you introduce to your life, and you don't know what happens. This is like the funny thing about life. We all think we're gonna get to be 120, and we just live into the day to day, and we're just omnipresent. But then something happens. You break your leg. You have some disease that you just can't control, and all of a sudden you're not so well off anymore. And 2 years ago, where you were well off, you'd like, oh, let me get the Beamer, let me get this. And all of a sudden you have a little downturn, and you don't want that one domino to fall to take out your whole house of cards, right? It is just not worth it. So you got to live somewhat conservatively. And I've been saying that a long time ago, and people were like, these are the greatest economic times ever. And I said, you got to wait. It comes and goes in cycles. And now the food industry is going to be really, really impacted because all these people that are being let go, they don't have the money to go out. And at one point, credit cards are going to be like, nah, sorry, we're not going to issue you new credit cards. And then all of a sudden, what are you going to do? Because credit card companies can only take so many losses till they're like, yeah, we're going to ruin your credit, doing all this other stuff. So it is really, really important to you to always watch your finances, check them every day. Do I need to do this, or do I need to do this? Because I'm always saying you should support your local businesses. You should, provide for your family, do all this kind of other stuff. But you also got to think about the future. You got to think about, what if I'm 70? What if I'm 60? What if I'm 80? How's my life gonna look? What do I want to do? What do I want to do? Do I want to work till I'm 80? Because there's these Twitter posts that say, "Oh, I'm 60 years old and I haven't saved a single dollar for retirement." And when you have or I'm 60 and I have $100,000 in retirement, and now I'm gonna get my now I'm gonna get Social Security and I have $100,000 and $600,000 for a house that I now own. Can you live off of that? Well, then you got to go and sell it and live in a way cheaper area, or you just try to hold on as long as possible, or you just work till you're done. And that's something said for each way, because everybody has their preference, everybody has their things, but that's not what I want to do. I want to be done, read the news, travel, go on cruises, explore the world before my body's starting to incinerate and do all that, because nobody thinks about those things. Nobody ever's like, oh my gosh, I'm in my 30s now, so if I double that, I'm 60, and in my 60s, I'm gonna have issues. Most likely, right? With all the shit that they're putting in our foods and all that, it's yeah, it's just gonna happen. So it's you gotta watch it. You gotta watch your finances. You gotta watch what you're eating. You can't believe anybody. They're like, oh, you gotta use tallow fat or do all this other stuff, and then they let, your those pharma companies rule your life because they pay for ads on the TV, and these news anchors aren't going to get dropped unless there's so much unsupport between the ads that the sponsors drop, and once the sponsors drop, they'll can you. It's just a horrible way of doing things, right? It's not even news, it's just entertainment now. So you got to think about hey, what is best for my family? What is best for me? What have my life experiences taught me? And then kind of move from there and say, you know what? Maybe this isn't so bad. Or maybe I do want to open up my own thing and be my own boss and do it and take the whole risk on. And it's an exciting journey if you decide to go that route. But it's also a stressful one. And it's a different stress. It's not like the corporate stress. it's a difference for us, because if you're going to be your own boss and you think like, as an entrepreneur, I'm going to be my own boss. No, your customers become your boss. And then instead of having one that breathes down your neck, you're going to have a few bosses. Your bank account, your spouse, because they don't want you working 24/7, right? And your customers. So from just having one boss that was like from your 9 to 5, and then you had all the time to go home, and now you have a bunch of them, and you have a bunch of problems, right? Because then it's like, oh, you need to be home, we have this event going on. Well, I have this client meeting that I got to take. If I don't take this client meeting and he's going to drop me, I'm going to lose tens of thousands of dollars down the road. And so I got to take this one. So you sacrifice, right? And yeah, everything that is worth fighting for is going to require sacrifice, right? And this is what I tell people all the time on YouTube and everywhere. Either you pay for information and you pay for mentorship, or you learn by doing it yourself and making mistakes, right? And this is what I've been looking at with Ali's coaching, right? Where we're looking at like, hey, I give you all the tools, and it's like $29. You do it then, or you're just gonna send it out yourself and hopefully it works or not. But either way, you're gonna pay it, right? You're gonna pay it with time and watching YouTube videos and doing all that. Or you just say, F it, I'm just gonna spend the money. I'm gonna spend $30-something, do it, and be done. Because when you're looking at whatever you're gonna be doing you're gonna need help. If you're an entrepreneur, you're gonna need other people to support you, at least at the beginning, right? And you're most likely gonna pay for CPAs, you're gonna pay for other advice, you're gonna pay for CRMs, you're gonna pay for cash register support, you're gonna pay for all these type of ways, and you're gonna pay for social media people. It's just, yeah, as an owner, you can't do everything. So super interesting topic today when we're looking at this food industry and everything else. So when it comes down to it, you need to be aware of your surroundings. And I say this like a broken record. You got to be knowing what's going on, because there's so many people that just get the pink slip handed to them and say, you're done. Get your stuff and get out. And then they're like, well, this was a surprise, and now I'm unemployed for 6 months and I don't know what I'm doing wrong. So don't be that person, right? Start networking. Start providing value. Start thinking about your future, right? Start thinking about more than just right now. Oh, I want to go get a Lamborghini. Or, oh, I want to get this Mercedes Benz. Or, oh, I want to do this. So no, stay away. But they make it so easy now. Because even I am tempted sometimes when they send me upgrades, they send me letters. They say, Rico, bring in your Mustang. We can get you into the brand new Dark Horse one. We can get you a brand new one. And I always look at it, it's like, yeah, that'd be something I'm interested in. Yeah. And then like reality sets in, no, not doing nothing. I ain't doing nothing, because then all of a sudden from this car, what is this car worth? Has 10,000 miles on it. Probably retails about $35,000, probably $30,000 if I give it to a dealer, 29 somewhere. All of a sudden, then I have to get the similar one for 60,000. So am I gonna have double the fun with the Dark Horse one than this one? Probably not, right? So it's always like you gotta think about hey, how much more is it gonna cost me, and how much more can I get it, right? So, and this is what I'm gonna let you go with, and this is take it for what it's worth. But hey, if you haven't, please like and subscribe, and tell me something in your life that you're like, is it worth upgrading or no? And drop it in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.